Welcome to Danish Info News TV, your Danish-English news updates and business from December 24th through 31st. As 2025 comes to a close, Denmark sees major developments across multiple sectors. PostNord delivers its last letter in the country. A construction director is convicted in a large-scale money laundering case. Counterfeit 500 krona notes circulate. The government plans to expand inspections of kiosks. And patients in Region Midtjylland face longer waits for critical treatment, increasing the risk of amputations. In the first of our main story from December 25th, residential burglary increases nationwide. Residential burglaries increased significantly around Christmas, despite fewer incidents on Christmas Eve itself. On December 25th, police reported that 44 burglaries had been registered nationwide on Christmas Eve, fewer than in previous years. However, the overall number of burglaries during the holiday period rose sharply. From December 12th up to and including Christmas Eve, 729 burglaries were reported, reflecting a 38% increase over 3 years. Further figures released on December 29 showed that the trend continued, with over 1,000 residential burglaries reported nationwide between December 12th and December 28th, 20% more than in the same period of 2024. The Esbjerg area was particularly affected, as a burglary spree in Yachting led to at least 15 reported break-ins between December 22nd and 27th. Many of them on Christmas Eve, especially on Matrosvingel and Styrmandsvingel. In response, police increased their presence in the area and set up a mobile police station to advise residents on burglary prevention. In a main story from Friday, December 26, more than 500,000 Danes have over the past year taken a position on organ donation, after everyone over 18 received a letter from the Ministry of the Interior and Health. More than 500,000 Danes have over the past year registered their position on organ donation after all citizens over 18 received a letter from the authorities, bringing the total number of registered choices to nearly 1.9 million. The health minister describes the development as positive, but the figures do not show how many have said yes or no. The Organ Donation Association worries that some people may have declined without being properly informed, as no major awareness campaign preceded the letters. Under the new rules, citizens are automatically registered as potential donors but must actively confirm their choice to become donors. Health professionals believe the system could increase donations and reduce the burden on relatives, though transplant patients fear misunderstandings may result in fewer actual donors. In a main story from Saturday, December 27, fraud, drugs, and black money prompt government to extend kiosk inspections. Authorities' inspection actions against kiosks have uncovered extensive crime, shadow economy activity, and serious legal violations in parts of the sector. Inspections of 140 selected kiosks in Copenhagen, Aarhus, and Odense found errors or legal violations in 138 kiosks. Findings included weapons, illegal nicotine and tobacco products, narcotics, hidden cash, and serious food hygiene problems. Sanctions range from fines to arrest of kiosk owners. Tax Minister Anne Helsbo-Jørgensen assesses that parts of the kiosk environment contain a rotten culture reminiscent of organized crime. The government has therefore decided to extend the targeted inspection scheme until 2028. The National Association of Convenience Stores acknowledges the problems, but emphasizes that the inspections have been targeted and that the vast majority of kiosks are run legally. Authorities will continue the inspection efforts with the same intensity, and the cases are expected to be concluded in 2026. A main story from Sunday, December 28. Police warn shops on Zealand about counterfeit 500 krona notes. 2 remanded in custody. Police arrested 3 Swedish men aged between 26 and 36 at the Helsingør ferry terminal, following a series of reports about counterfeit 500 krona notes being used in several locations on Zealand. Mid and West Zealand police received at least 5 to 6 complaints from shops that had accepted the fake banknotes, prompting an investigation. 2 of the men have since been remanded in custody until January 22nd, while the third has been released. Authorities have not yet established the total amount of counterfeit money involved, nor whether additional suspects may be part of the operation. Police are continuing their investigation and have warned retailers across Zealand to carefully check their cash registers for any suspicious banknotes and contact police if they find any. To a main story from Monday, December 29, construction director gets prison sentence and million krona fine in a money laundering case. 2 court verdicts linked to the Operation Outpay case revealed large-scale organized money laundering in Denmark. In August of 2022, a 45-year-old man was sentenced to 5 years in prison for laundering about 130 million krona through an informal hawala network. In December of 2025, a bankrupt construction director was convicted of money laundering and VAT fraud involving fake invoices and received a partly suspended prison sentence along with substantial fines. Together, the cases highlight how coordinated networks of companies and intermediaries were used to launder hundreds of millions of krona. In a main story from Tuesday, December 30th, PostNord delivers its last letter in Denmark after 401 years of state postal delivery. The decision has attracted great international attention and has been reported by media such as the BBC, CNN, The New York Times, The Guardian, and The Economist. According to PostNord and experts, the interest is due to Denmark's high level of digitalization, which has made physical letters almost superfluous. The number of letters have fallen sharply from 1.5 billion per year in 2000 to around 100 million today. The transition to digital mail was reinforced in 2014 when it became mandatory to receive public mail digitally via e-box. Museum director Rasmus Restofte assesses that other countries are following Denmark's development as a possible future scenario. In many countries, physical mail still plays a central role, unlike in Denmark where digital communication dominates. Although PostNord is stopping letter delivery, it will still be possible to send letters which will in the future primarily be delivered by the private company DAO. In the last of our main story from December 31st, region faces criticism. Patient risk amputations as waiting lists for critical treatment grow. Region Midtjylland is facing criticism over long waiting times for subsidized foot therapy, which experts warn may increase the risk of amputations among diabetes patients. New figures show that average waiting times have risen to 26 weeks, up from 17 weeks in 2020, with some clinics reporting waits of over a year, particularly in the western parts of the region. Health professionals and the Danish Diabetes Association argue that delayed preventative foot care leads to recurrent wounds and, in the worst cases, amputations. The criticism comes in light of a previous high-profile amputation case in the region where 65 patients received compensation after it was concluded that amputations could likely have been avoided with proper treatment. Patients describe anxiety over long waits, while food therapists report being forced to turn away new patients due to capacity restraints. The Diabetes Association says the current system creates geographic inequality and calls for urgent action, pointing to southern Denmark region as the better model with flexible access to providers. Regional politicians acknowledge the problem and admit that the recent efforts, including issuing new providers' licenses, have not been sufficient. They are now considering financial incentives and structural changes to improve access to preventative care as the number of people with diabetes continues to rise. To other news, we begin on Wednesday, December 24th. Heart attack risk spikes on Christmas Eve. Twice as many cardiac arrests are recorded on Christmas Eve compared to other days, likely due to heavy salty food and overeating. Car stopped with wanted person. Police stopped a car in Sulrød. One passenger was wanted to serve a sentence and was arrested after briefly fleeing. 2 others were charged with impaired driving and possession of a knife and drugs. Experts warn about electrolytes. Specialists caution that most people should avoid electrolytes tablets, which mainly contain salt, as Danes already consume too much salt. To a news from Thursday, December 25th. Afghan man extradited to Germany. A 42-year-old Afghan arrested in Aarhus will be extradited to Germany, suspected of Iranian espionage and planning attacks against Jewish targets. To news from Friday, December 26. Stabbing in Hvidovre. One person was injured in a stabbing on Gammel Kø Landevej, but is now out of life danger. No arrests have been announced. Man assaulted in Herning. A 32-year-old man was attacked by a group of 10 to 12 people and seriously injured, but is out of danger. No arrests yet. Woman charged after violent neighbor attack. A 52-year-old woman is charged with multiple counts of serious assault, including biting part of a neighbor's ear off. She has been remanded in custody for 4 weeks. One police district stands out. Mid and West Jutland reported more violence than usual due to Christmas launches, while most other districts described the night as normal. News from Saturday, December 27. Family knife fight in Gram. Several family members were involved in a knife fight at a cafe. No serious injuries, but police are still searching for the suspect. Serious car crash on Funun. A young man was seriously injured in a single vehicle crash in Søndersø after hitting a tree. Funding for new border folk meeting. The region of southern Denmark has set aside 500,000 Danish kroner to explore creating a new public meeting near the Danish-German border. Majority want fireworks ban. A survey shows 52.6% of Danes support banning fireworks for private use, while 37.7% opposes a ban. Now to news from Sunday, December 28. Fertility treatment doubled for the second child. From January, singles and couples can access up to 6 taxpayer-funded fertility treatments for a second child, up from 3. Man finds stolen car behind him. A man in Gil called police after suddenly spotting his stolen car behind him. The 32-year-old driver was arrested for theft and drug driving. Youth sexual offense convictions more than doubled. The number of 15 to 17-year-olds convicted of sexual offenses against other children rose from 95 in 2015 to 238 in 2025. 15-year-old drives into wall, charged with drunk driving and driving without a license in Åbenbro. No injuries reported. Police seized large amounts of fireworks. Multiple incidents in Odense and Stuvåd led to 13 charges and the seizure of hundreds of kilos of fireworks. Fireworks injuries. 2 people hit by fireworks in Gilleleje. The culprit was a 14-year-old. A quarter of Danes have mishandled fireworks. 25% reported going back to a firework that have failed to ignite. News from Monday, December 29. Fake police officer stops driver. A 26-year-old man in Ringsted was stopped by a man impersonating a police officer, demanding his cards and phone. The suspect is at large. 17-year-old caught with 100 kilos of fireworks, stopped in a stolen van near Aarhus, charged for illegal transport of fireworks. In another case, a 35-year-old arrested for 900 kilos of fireworks seized by North Jutland police in Stuvåd. Harald Nyborg sued by merchants, accused of unfair competition for selling groceries. 1/3 of Danes lack protective eyewear for New Year. Safety agency warns of increased eye injury risk. News from Tuesday, December 30th. Train disruption due to person on tracks. Ringsted trails halted. Police investigating. Person not yet identified. 27-year-old sentenced for Greenland murder. 7-year placement for killing a 39-year-old in Itakotamit. Still in Greenland, 71-year-old charged for attempted murder in Greenland, arrested in Ilulissat. Man and woman assaulted in Stevens traffic, attacked after a confrontation with another vehicle. Suspects fled. 18-year-old fires firework from moving car, charged and fireworks confiscated. Over 500 birds colded due to bird flu. Cases continue to spread in Denmark. Region Hovedstaden allocated 48 million Danish kroner for hospital security, funding for security assistance, scanners and alarm systems. 51-year-old critically injured in a traffic accident. Crash route on 25 outside Kolding. 2 vehicles involved. Half of Danes do not make New Year's resolutions. 49% reported no resolutions for 2025. 71 attacks on emergency services at New Year in 8 years include stones, rockets, and fireworks. All incidents occur between December 31st noon and January 1st 5 a.m. News from Wednesday, December 31st. Train service suspended. The Frederiksværk line between Hillerød and Hundested has been temporarily halted following a person being struck by a train. Contract killing plot uncovered. An 18-year-old man from Sweden attempted to hire someone to carry out a murder, but was exposed when a police officer posed as a hitman via the encrypted messaging service Signal. The case will be heard at the Frederiksberg court on January 5th, where the young man is expected to plead guilty. More people on public benefits. A new analysis showed that the number of citizens receiving public assistance has increased in 1 in 3 municipalities over the past 10 years, particularly in outlying areas such as Lemvig, Langeland, Nordjylland, and Frederikshavn. Now to Danish business news, December 24th through 31st. 100,000 Danes become debt-free. Around 100,000 Danes have repaid over 550 million krona via the digital platform. Mit gældsoverblik, with nearly a quarter achieving debt-free status since its launching in May of 2024. Holiday gift returns. 1 in 4 Danes is expected to exchange at least one Christmas gift, totaling an estimated 600 million Danish kroner in returns. More women investing. The proportion of female clients at Nordnet has risen nearly 10 percentage points over 5 years to 37.5% in third quarter of 2025. Similar trends observed at Saxo Bank, Danske Bank, Nykredit, and Jyske Bank. Gold and silver price hit record highs at the end of the 2025 due to strong demand and global uncertainty, with silver rising about 150% and gold reaching new peaks. On the final day of the year, both prices fell slightly, but they still ended the year significantly higher overall. Ørsted sells half of the Hornsea 3 offshore wind farm. Ørsted sold half of the 160 kilometers offshore Hornsea 3 wind farm to Apollo Capital for about 39 billion Danish kroner. The project can power over 3 million UK households. Thanks for watching. Stay informed on Denmark's biggest stories and breaking news. Subscribe now and never miss an update.